Hey guys, welcome back to the Rusty Beauties shop. We are restoring here the 1966 GT6, and in the last episode we made this big patch for the bottom of the door and we tucked it in place and we made sure that there's no bulging in the middle, that everything lines up perfectly, and now we are about to weld it. Alright, so now I'm gonna go ahead and weld it. I'm gonna keep cooling it down. Let's actually check it first. So for now, it is nice and straight everywhere. Even here now, there's no bulging in the middle. So I'm gonna try to weld it really slow. I'm gonna be tucking like maybe 1 or 2 tucks and cooling down. 1 or 2 tucks, cooling down with the air gun, and hopefully that's gonna keep it nice and straight. I'm gonna put time-lapse mode on, and I noticed before that when the footage is like really fast, you can see when the metal goes up and when it goes down. So I'm gonna leave you in this position so you can keep an eye on it, and if it shrinks somewhere, we're gonna be able to see when actually it shrunk and it went deeper. But I'm hoping, I'm really hoping that I'm gonna be able to keep it nice and straight as it is right now. So let's get crack-a-lacking. Well, it looks like my plan didn't work very well because at the end it did shrink, and I watched this footage multiple times and I can't see exactly when it happens. It happens really gradually and you can't really see it, but I'm gonna show you now and you'll see that it actually did shrink. Alright, I officially give up on welding. I'm not a welder and I'm never gonna be a welder, obviously, because look, so here I'm happy with this part. Here I'm happy with this part. Even here I'm happy with this part because now it's stepping on top of the welds here and it has a little gap here. Perfect. But look at this. Like I can go over the weld. It's touching here, it's touching up there, and the weld is still there. I don't even need to grind it to find out that this sunk in some areas. So I was cooling it down all the time. My compressor didn't stop running because I was making not more than 3 tucks, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 tucks, and then cooling it down. You see the heat didn't go too far. It stayed pretty close to the weld everywhere, and still it managed to warp on me. Like in this area I can see it from here all the way to here. So I have no idea now how I'm gonna bring it up, because if it was butt weld, at least I was gonna be able with after I grind it, maybe with a dolly from underneath and a slapper on outside, and try to bring it up. But now there's no way. It's gonna be low, and again this adds to my collection of welds that I will need to pull out eventually if I get my machine back. It is still in somebody's trying to fix it for me, and they can't get the right parts from China, and it is like, I don't blame them. I understand it's hard, so maybe I'm gonna end up buying a new one, which is fine, but I will need to be able to pull this out now. Only in this area didn't sink, and I don't know what's different, but in this area it stayed up. Here it sunk like big time. Anyways, I'm gonna grind it now. Again, I'm gonna try to grind it slow so I don't overheat it in areas, but it's already down, so I don't know. Anyways, I'm actually happy with these gloves. They survived. I did all the tucks with them, so they were pretty close to where I was welding, and they still survived. Okay. No, it's not too bad, but it's bad. Even here, my own joint between my own parts, even this sunk a little bit. So this is where it is pretty much okay in this end, and here in this end as well. That's what we wanted, right? But everywhere else. So look from one end to the other. The weld is sunk by between a 16th and maybe an 8th in some area. Like this here is, well, it's not an 8th, but it's low. You see, everywhere. So I'm gonna try with the dolly from underneath and something that I prepared to make a slapper. I have this spring from a leaf spring that I prepared from a long time ago to turn into a slapper, and I don't have a torch. That's the problem. That's why I'm procrastinating, but at some point I need to do it. I think in this case though I can use it as it is. If I clean this up, if I make it nice and smooth, I can use it like this as a slapper. I'm not sure it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try. So let me clean it up a little bit. Make sure we don't have dents here, because if it has dents it's gonna start putting dents. I'm gonna try not to use this part. I'm not sure exactly how. Like, I'd like to use it this way, but this way it is curved and it needs to be flat. Anyways, I'm gonna clean it here and I'll see. Alright, so this is what I've done for a slapper. Very quickly, like 5 minutes job. One day I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna heat it up here with a torch. I'm gonna bend it straight, and then here we're gonna make a bend so we can have a nice handle. Here there was a nipple like this one, which I ground down, and it's not perfectly flat yet, but it is what it is. I don't have time right now. I think for this job it's gonna be pretty good. I've never used a slapper before, so we will see. The idea is you put a dolly from behind, and wherever you have a low spot, when you slap the sheet metal on top, trying to hit it flat as big as area as possible. So you're hitting on the high spots, but because you have the dolly from behind, which that's not a proper dolly, but it is nice and heavy, so that's what I'm gonna use. So the dolly is gonna push the low spots up. So let's see. Never done it before, like I said, but there's always a first time. And you know we have the flange from the jogger weld behind, so I don't know how well it's gonna work, but it's worth trying. You know what? It's actually working. Wow, 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 look at that. Woohoo! It brings it up. Okay. Let's put you this way, maybe, so you can see this. That's a pretty heavy dolly, but it's better. The heavier the better, you know. Huh? Still low, but better. Here it's very low. Okay, do you see that? Let's move you back. So here in this area, I can see it's very low. Yeah, it's still low, but it's better. It gets better. So I'm gonna keep slapping it. Now I actually need a curved dolly so it can actually push, because now we're making it flat, but we want to actually curve it a little bit out. So I'm gonna take this dolly. It's not that heavy, but it is what it is. I don't have access to all the way here to put a dolly inside. It's really hard, but actually it is like, I'm pretty happy with the whole thing now. It's much better than before. We were actually able to bring it back up. Now what I think happens is I can feel it here. Now I need to grind even more now the weld, because before I didn't grind it all the way down, and now I can feel it is still high. So now my slapper, when I hit here, it also hits the weld. So I need to grind a little bit more so the weld is not higher than the metal, which happens to be the case right now, and then I can slap it even more. Ooh, I kind of enjoy that. I kind of enjoy slapping it. Okay, I'm not gonna get carried away, but all right, I'm happy. My new favorite too, slapper. Might come handy with the kids as well. Alright, so it's time to bend this down, and then we're gonna look at the weld inside again, but it looks good. Somebody said that the door was rusty inside, and how was I welding it when it's rusty? No, it's not. It's all paint, whatever is there. I cleaned the rust, I got rid of the rust, and the rest was just paint. So it looks dirty, but it's not rust. Anyways, so it's time to bend the flange, and then we're gonna look at the weld again, because look, this is still moving, so we don't do a very precise job on the outside if this is moving, right? So anyways, I marked here, I'm gonna shorten this flange a little bit here in the corner, because the corners are hard. Here we need to make like a notch for the water drain here as well, and this corner too. So I'm gonna cut this, and then we're gonna start bending it. I polished my hammer a little bit because it was disaster before and it was putting lots of dents, and now it looks good. And we're gonna use a big plate here for a dolly from underneath, because before I was using a small dolly and that was putting lots of dents. Now I'm gonna try to use it like this, so it is nice and flat on the outside. And yeah, let's get crack-a-lacking again. I kind of forgot to paint this part of the shell. It's painted on the outside, but it's not painted on the inside. The skin is painted on the inside, but this part of the shell wasn't. I use this nozzle, which has a little jet at the end. I don't know if you can see it. And it sprays in 3 different directions, like the Mercedes logo, you know. So I was able to put it there and spray primer. So I'm gonna wait for it to dry now a little bit, or we can just go ahead and start bending it. We need to make sure that it is up. It looks like the skin is gonna overlap here with the old skin, so I'm gonna make a little cut. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Here and now I have to weld these, and I'm gonna have to grind this a little bit because for whatever reason they don't match the length. This side I welded long enough so they are good here. Of course it needs to be welded and ground, and here too. But before we do that, I would put it on the car and see how the gaps are, because I'm afraid that we did a nice job here, but we might need to start welding here to the edge and grinding, etc. That's what we're gonna have to do on the other side, unfortunately. But let's see. Hopefully here we did a better job and the gaps remain good. Let's see. If you're addicted to rust, might as well face it. You're addicted to rust. Alexa, pause. Might as well face it. I'm addicted to rust. Oh. Guys, I'm really happy. This time we did a great job. You know what? Hold on a second. Let's make it the same color so we can see the gaps better. Let me see from your point of view. Like there's very minor difference here at the bottom. It looks like in the front is a little bit smaller than here, but you know what, I can drop the rear end a little. Let me try. I'm really happy with it. I'm more than happy. So this door we don't need to do any more stupidities. Maybe here we're gonna do something with the body, because I don't like, you see how the body is straight line and the door has a nice curve here, and that's something that I really like on the Spitfire, this line of the door. So we're gonna modify the body. I can clearly see here that there's a lot of either body filler or lead, like on the other side. So here we need to make a repair anyways. So we're gonna remove all the lead from here, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to slice the body and push it towards the door. But I'm not gonna modify the door, I'm gonna modify the body. This line is beautiful here. Something else now that I noticed, that I never noticed before, is that somehow this seal did exactly the same thing as the other one. how and when did this happen? Not that we don't have a solution for it, but when did it happen? Anyways, that's something that we're gonna deal with when we're replacing this fender, which is soon. And on the other side as well, we have to make a cut here and raise this end. I don't know how and when this happened, but it's fine. We have a solution for it. Now, let me sit here. And enjoy this gap. Ooh, I'm really happy with this door now. The stick out is perfect too. Perfect. Ooh, all our work, like here maybe, there's a very slight difference here. The door is a little bit further out than the seal, but you know, here we still have to weld this seal there. You know, it is cut, but I'm not gonna open it anymore because we're gonna screw it up here and everything. No, that's how it is. That's how we're gonna weld it. Or maybe I can pull it out a little. Should I? Here, remember that? We still need to weld that, so I might open it a little bit more. Or should I? No, I'm not gonna be so picky. I'm happy with how it is now. It's good. Okay, so I'm gonna take the door out again. I'm gonna weld here where I didn't finish it, the 4 little corners. Here, I'm gonna have to do something about this. You see here the gap is small and then it widens up a little, but that's too much, this gap, because this gap needs to be a little bit bigger, otherwise the door is not gonna open properly. So that's fine. We just need to make a nice and smooth line here. Who's this guy? And the same here. We just need to make the line smooth, and that's all. All right. Oh, I'm relaxed now. Well, I actually decided before I remove the door, I'm gonna strip this part here and see the situation. I'm gonna burn the paint as well. I don't want to grind it because I know that there's lead underneath, and I don't want to create lead dust that's gonna come into my lungs. So I'm just gonna melt it together with the paint. My torch is not very torchy. I don't know why it's not burning well. I can't have a bigger flame than that, but that's fine. So I know that many of you now are gonna start convincing me that lead is the best option for here. But like I said before, lead for me is not an option. I don't like lead, it's not healthy, it's not good for the environment, and it's not an option at all. I know that there are alternatives, but I don't want to go that way at all. It's not my cup of tea, and please don't convince me that I have to use lead here. Dun dun dun! So you see what's hidden behind the lead? There was body filler here too. That's not factory, of course. Somebody at some point did some repair with body filler. People say that there's lead here for a reason, because it needs to be flexible, but I don't think that's the reason why there's lead here. There's just, that's what they were using as a body filler at the time, but I don't like it, so I removed it. And you see here, there was lead all the way to here. This was all lead, and still it rusted underneath because moisture got trapped inside this channel and rusted it from inside out. So I'm being asked very often why I don't use lead instead of body filler, because supposedly it lasts forever. Well, it might last forever outside, but it still rusts underneath, so it doesn't protect too much. So anyways, I'm gonna have to cut this now, and I'm debating whether to cut the whole part all the way to here, just leave the inside. You know, here there's inside plate. Maybe I should cut it all the way to here and remove the spot welds. You see here there's spot welds. Maybe I should remove 2 from this side and 2, 3 from this side, cut it all the way here and make a new part. Yeah, I can make it in 2 parts that meet here in the middle and make a weld here and grind it. We'll see. First, let me get rid of the whole thing, because the only reason why there was so much lead here all the way to here is because they wanted gradually to make it smooth down, because look what they've done. Actually, I think we're gonna do that in the next video. I want to finish the door in this video and the door gap, so I'm gonna deal with this first. I'm gonna make a cut now, and we're gonna bring this closer so we can hopefully make the same shape as the door. Look at the gap now. You see? Now it has this curvy shape, this panel as well. Alright, that's what it looks like. The gap is pretty good. I like it. Now it has this nice shape here. So this is where we're gonna leave it. I'm happy with it. I painted a little bit the door so I can see the gap better. But yeah, I like it. But for today, we're gonna call it a day. I'm happy with the progress, and I'm happy with the whole door. I was really worried that we were gonna have to do the same thing which we still have to do on the other side, like weld and extend a little bit the door to make the gap smaller. But for this side, we did it in a better way. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, thanks for commenting and subscribing, thanks for supporting me on Patreon. It's highly appreciated. In case you're not Patreon and you wish to become one, there's details in the description of the video. You can support me in different ways, but that's only if you feel like saying thank you, Elin, for your videos, or thanks for entertaining me, whatever you feel like. If you can't afford it or you don't feel like it, that's perfectly fine. You're still a valuable viewer of this channel and you still have access to everything that I upload. So there's no such thing as VIP content, there's no such thing as exclusive content for only these people who support me financially. No, everything is available for everybody, whether they support me financially or not. So with that said, guys, I'm gonna sign off and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.